energetically speaking, this is the Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself year. And I think there's going to be a lot of truth telling and a lot, especially in the realm of sexual abuse.
Epstein. Yeah,
Yep.
I think so too. And we have to hold on, because once this is the whole thing, somebody who isn't into the whole understanding of what's in the dark has to come to the light. There's a period of a lot of pain and a lot of like, what is really happening? A lot of people, oh, that's not happening. Well, someone like me, I knew it was happening, but the people like, oh, that could never happen, right? The Catholic Church that I grew up in, the pastor was a pedophile. Oh, you're such a negative person. What are you talking about? Like, turns out I was right. People that tell the truth get criticized, but then all of a sudden the truth gets revealed, right? So there's always going to be a period of unsettling as the dark is revealed into the light. But those people who are grounded in the light, they hold the energy for the people who are just like, I can't believe it's happening.
Are you a truth teller? I am. And my guess is if you're listening to a show named Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself, you are as well. The mask is dropping even further today in the second part of this special 2-part narcissism episode month, as we unravel this topic with 2 of the top narcissism experts. People ask me, what's the number one thing you did to heal from endometriosis, or what made the most impact? And I tell them the thing that accelerated my healing faster than anything else was facing the truth about my relationships and going no contact with the narcissists in my family and in my life. This was the very critical tip of the iceberg. So if you'd like to hear more, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, thank you for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself by listening to this show. In case you haven't noticed, we live in a very censored world. I mean, just the title of this show literally points to that. So because we're talking about truth, freedom, and very real shit on this show, its exposure and its reach are being limited and can't reach the full potential of people that need help and want to hear this info. So thank you for liking this video, sharing it, and subscribing to my channel to help me break the algorithm and help others heal themselves. Facing your shit and healing yourself is a movement, and you can join this movement with a one-off donation or become a member for as low as $5 a month and receive exclusive art, be featured on the show, submit questions for guests, and more. So who am I and why did I decide to create this show? Good question. After unraveling all of the medical and pharmaceutical lies I had been told about my endometriosis, I educated myself and I was able to heal myself after 17 years of debilitating pain. My experience inspired me to actually live my artwork. So I created an ongoing art series about it called Every Phase, where I powerfully illustrate how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. The artwork shows what's happening in the brain as well as in the body during each phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life. I am actually living the art, so it's about more than just healing. The right and the art discuss truth, freedom, and our current financial and healthcare system slavery, as well as the way out of it. You can learn more by subscribing on my website, meredithochoa.com, where you can also check out my $50 limited edition acrylic block bite-size art pieces capturing all of the images from the Every Phase series, and you can pick up a personally signed copy of my award-winning augmented reality interactive book, Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself. So all of that to say, even though I was lied to for years by doctors promoting big pharma, I was able to find experts who helped me achieve what I thought was impossible. This show introduces those people and practices to you. Today we are chatting with certified life coach, best-selling author, and leading expert in the field of mental wellness, codependency, and narcissistic abuse recovery, Lisa A. Romano. With over 20 years of experience in the field, Lisa has helped thousands of people, including me, heal from childhood trauma, codependency, narcissistic abuse, emotional neglect, and toxic relationships. Her unique approach to healing focuses on empowering individuals to take control of their lives and break free from the patterns of codependency and narcissistic abuse. Through her books, online courses, and coaching programs, Lisa provides practical tools and strategies that help individuals rebuild their sense of self, set healthy boundaries, and create fulfilling relationships. Lisa's work has been featured in major media outlets such as USA Today, Psychology Today, LA Times, The Huffington Post, and Yahoo Finance. She is also a sought after speaker and hosts a top leading podcast called Breakdown to Breakthrough. If you're looking for a compassionate and knowledgeable expert to guide you on your journey towards healing and self discovery, Lisa A. Romano is the perfect choice. Her expertise, creativity, compassion, and ability to blend groundbreaking neuroscience with cutting edge trauma research with spiritual principles make her a standout in the field of mental wellness. Her 12-week breakthrough coaching program was recently endorsed by Robin Bryman, PhD. She helps you end your pain and suffering that is tied to the past so you can live unapologetically.
Well, this is my passion. So
Yeah,
telling the truth.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying a lot recently as I've been focusing so much on my business is just, you know what the best marketing strategy is? Just telling the truth. Just telling the truth in the clearest way and the way that the people you're really wanting to talk to are going to hear you. It's just telling the truth. So
It
yeah.
is. And also, it's complex, right? So, like,
Mhm.
you have a passion, and we're in this online space. So, we have to build an online community. We have to have an online business. People have to know what we're passionate about. We have to find ways to share that. But there is this icky side of it, which is the business side of it. Everything has to work. And as an entrepreneur, as someone who has created a mission-based business, I have found that's the toughest part is like balancing the business aspect of it. And because the market is so flooded, like everybody and their great grandmother has a TikTok, right? And, so seriously, no, really, everybody
Yeah,
and the human mind likes kitty videos and doggy videos, and we can get swept away in this online forum. And so it's hard to compete with that when
mm,
you are someone who has such a passion, but we have to do it anyway. We have to keep going and believe that the people who are led to hearing this information will hear it. So we just keep going.
absolutely. So well said too. Speaking of motivation and keep going, what
Mhm.
would you say motivated you most to face your shit, leading you to just some of the incredible work you do today?
I think what a couple of things. It When I realized that, and I came up with the tagline, "It's not me, it's my programming," it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Mm.
If we don't awaken, we're going to repeat what has been ingrained in us since childhood. We will have this inner narrative that is negative, that is punishing, that is shame based. It will
Mhm.
eat us alive like cancer. It will manifest in the way that we treat ourselves, career choices, relationship choices, how we treat our children. It will manifest in them. The cycle continues. And so when I realized, oh my God, like this codependency, this narcissistic relationship, this negative self talk, it could be no other way. Children are absolutely programmed the first 7 years of life. So
Mhm.
that was huge. And then, of course, as a mom, a young mom in my early 30s, I looked around and said, I drew three innocent sentient beings to planet Earth outside of conscious awareness. What have I done? They have been affected by my unconsciousness. And so those two key ideas, like it wasn't my fault, but
Mhm.
it's programming. It could be no other way. But if I don't change it, nothing's going to change. And the incredible responsibility that I had to correct the mistakes that I had made and represented and modeled for my children before I awakened. And so
Wow.
that was so hard because I had to leave a marriage. I had
Mhm.
to leave a toxic family, everything that I knew. I had no job when I left my ex husband. He was angry. He played with child support. I walked away with no alimony. I walked away with no health insurance. I just said, I got to get out of here. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I can't stay. But I could not cling to the shreds of that relationship, knowing what I had modeled for my children. I just couldn't
Yeah.
do it. And I started to align with what I call love consciousness. I just said, I have to align with something greater than myself, greater
Yeah.
than fear. And I know that the choices that I'm making, although I feel like I'm jumping out of a building with these 3 kids strapped to me, I know that I'm doing it out of love. And I know that I'm doing it with good intentions. So I'm just going to keep moving in that direction. But it was hard. But those are the motivating factors for me to face my shit. I had hurt these babies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a huge motivator. And unfortunately, sometimes not enough for most people. But I'm really glad that you heard the call. And that's what it is. It's really a call. It's an opportunity to take responsibility for who you are and to really step up to what we've been called to do, which is to shine a light on the truth and what's
Hmm.
really going on. It's just there's definitely something to be said because there's always a free will choice. There's definitely something to be said to make that free will choice to actually do that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that I'm very fortunate. I had a number of, I would say, mystical experiences throughout my childhood.
Mm,
And I really do feel like this was a calling that
mhm,
I was supposed to go through all that, the fire and brimstone. I was supposed to feel the humility and the shame of what I had done. I was supposed to go it alone without my family. It was
mhm,
supposed to be that hard so that if it hadn't been that hard, if I was just a little bit comfortable, I wouldn't have created the courses that I've created. I wouldn't have the community that I create. So I'm fortunate, and I don't take that lightly, that for whatever inner voice or force that was in me that I aligned with, I don't think that I did this by myself. I do think that there
yeah,
were forces outside of me that guided me, kept my nose above the waterline. I just feel like I was connecting to something greater than myself. And so I could never have done this by myself. I don't believe it. It was too hard.
absolutely. Yeah. No one achieves anything alone, even if we think we really are just by the very nature of being here.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
do think
we're
we have to ask, though. I do think that
mhm,
we don't ask in our desperation. Lots of times we're overcome by sadness and grief, and we do feel sorry for ourselves. Like, how could this be happening to me? And it's justified. Trauma,
mhm,
things are happening to you is justified. Like, why is this happening? Absolutely. But when we're
yeah,
thinking about why is this happening, we have to also recognize I'm not asking for help in that moment. I'm
right.
saying this is where I am and it sucks and I
Yeah,
can't imagine getting out. So I think what I did, I'm so grateful that I did. I called out and I asked for help. Like, I
right,
need help. Like, God,
right.
please help me. Angels, whatever, just whatever's out there, I'm
Yeah,
willing to do what I have to do, but I need help. So I think that we also have to, in our darkest moments, we have to cry out for help. That's when we can be assisted. But
yep,
yeah, I
yeah,
think that's a big part of it. Ask, believe, and then you can receive.
totally. And there's so much info right now out there on narcissism, on asking for help, on boundaries, self love
Hmm.
deficit disorder, codependency. Let's talk about the root cause of narcissism as well as the spiritual framework, which you touched on a little bit of narcissism and codependency, which is also known as self love deficient disorder. Can you comment on the kind of dance that goes on there and the roots of that?
Well, I think narcissism, well, there are some studies that say that you can be born with brain anomalies that will cause you to ebb in the direction of narcissism. Okay, I get that.
Okay.
But studies and research is proving that most narcissists are created, that they are either, now there's the thing, that they either are raised by entitled parents who
Mhm.
teach them entitlement, parents who do not model empathy for others or
Mhm.
consciousness towards how their actions behave, treat other people or affect other people. But overwhelmingly, narcissism seems to be tied to narcissistic injury, where
Okay.
there is severe trauma, there is severe abandonment. And the way that the child protects themselves in terms of ego is defense, it's an armor. Their strategy is to take advantage of other people. It's to eat rather than be eaten. And so they get locked behind this armor and develop this story, this narrative that has them believing, and it's a completely untrue story, but their narrative is, I deserve to be treated better than everybody else. My pain is
Right.
worse than everybody else's. I'm superior. And it's not that they love themselves. They are very punishing with their inner narrative. But when they think about something, they drop something on the floor or they miss the trap, they miss the signal, they're thinking, you idiot, you stupid idiot, because they think they're morally superior and they should not make mistakes. So
Yeah.
it's not that they love themselves. They are very punishing, right? And if you open up a bottle of Diet Pepsi comes out. When you're dealing with a narcissist and they open up their mouth, that comes out, that punishing voice.
Hmm.
But it's not rooted in self-love, right? In terms of codependency, a codependent is someone whose strategy very early on in life realized that they could not get what they needed just by being who they are. But if they took
Hmm.
care of their parents' feelings, if they became the over-responsible sibling in the family, if they figured out how to be useful to other people, they could avoid criticism and possibly gain some semblance of an attachment. But it was always very conditional. And then this becomes a survival strategy below the veil of consciousness. It becomes habitual. So that's the way I present myself in life. I'm hypervigilant. What does my boyfriend need? What does my best friend need? What does my coworker need? What does the UPS guy need? And so I become a master of disguise as a codependent,
Hmm.
but I don't know it. And so I don't have a true self. I'm also wearing a mask. So, and I'm shame based, and the narcissist
Hmm.
is shame based. So, two very wounded people on opposite sides of the spectrum, at least it looks that way, but have very similar needs. So, a codependent is other focused, a narcissist is self focused. So, it's a hand in a glove. So, I, as a codependent, need someone who's self centered that I could completely exalt, who wants to be exalted, who expects me to exalt them, because that's the role that I play in my life. I don't have a sense of self. I don't know what is no one I don't know what it's like to be self-directed. And what do I need? And what do I think? And what do I feel? I don't know what that's like. So it's much more comfortable for me, even though it's toxic, for me to be with someone who tells me what they think, and then I could adhere to that. I can mold to that. Tell me what they need, and then I could scurry and meet that. But you go 25 years, your kids leave the nest, and you don't know who the F you are.
Hmm. Yep.
Or you just there's nothing left to give, and you get sick, you get
Yeah.
cancer, or you get some other god awful disease, some autoimmune disease, or
Mm.
you become a reactive abuser,
Yeah.
right? So, because
Yep.
below the veil of consciousness, you're not aware of why you are the way you are, how you got there, or the subconscious dynamics responsible. You're just not. You're
Yeah.
in your ego.
Right. Would you say that codependents are similar, energetically speaking, to a covert narcissist? Kind of feels that way, grabbing from the outside. What would you say about that?
I think that there's overlap, right? So, a true codependent will empty themselves to
Right.
take care of you, and they will have no sense of self. Where I think covert narcissists are full of themselves, where it's they're going to approach you with a sob story with
Hmm.
the intention of you taking care of them, literally from head to toe. Money, financially put me up on your couch. I'm an alcoholic. It's not my fault. I lost my job because my boss hates me. Codependents, that's usually not their narrative. Like a true codependent
Right.
will empty themselves, like martyr
Yep.
themselves. But that doesn't mean there's not overlap. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that a codependent mother won't guilt her child for not congratulating her or praising her on Facebook for the wonderful Sweet 16 that she had.
Yeah.
There's overlap, but there are some distinctions.
For sure. And I really feel like it's the real pandemic of our world, in my opinion,
Oh,
is
yeah.
narcissism, other it could be called psychic vampirism, just the vampiric, I'm not plugged in to source and myself, so I
Mhm.
have to leech onto
That's
others to
right.
get that power.
Absolutely. It's evil. We
Yeah.
live in a dualistic world. Our consciousness is dualistic. We are dualistic, right?
Right.
There's light and dark in both of us. So a narcissist can't integrate that. If you're a healthy person, you accept that you don't always make the right decision and you're humble about it. And when you say, I'm sorry, you repent. You intend to never do it again, but you recognize with humility that I'm not always my best self, right? Narcissists
Hmm.
can't do that, right? So I don't, that's why I talk about it. I mean, early on in my career, 20 years ago, I started talking about this. I got a lot of flack for it. You're such a negative person, right? And I'm like, do you teach your kid to look both ways before they cross the street?
Yeah.
Well, you should teach them about vampires, emotional vampires, energetic vampires. You should teach them about the fact that there might be a bully in their kindergarten and they should not seek their validation, right? I don't know where the stars are coming from. Do you?
I love it though. It was perfect timing when you said they should not
I don't know
seek
how
their
that happened.
validation.
It's the weirdest thing. But,
Oh,
we should also we should teach empathy. We should be kind to one another.
mhm.
And we should teach our children that their words matter, right? And that we should also teach our children that there are other children out there that don't really have that level of empathy. And I think
Right.
that's what we're missing. We have a society, especially this generation, where everyone's looking into their cell phones. Kids feel invisible.
Right.
And as
Mhm.
parents, if we don't put these damn cell phones down and shut the computers and teach our children that we can see them, we can feel them, they're not going to feel empathy from their parents. They're not going to have empathy for themselves, and they're not going to develop empathy for other people.
Yes. Yes. So true. And you said so much there. It's in the name of positivity, live in denial. In the name
Correct.
of positivity and being politically correct, we won't just notice anyone. Everyone
Right.
becomes invisible. Yeah.
No. And like I said, it's the reason why I teach my kid to look both ways because there's danger out
Yeah.
there. It's why
Yeah.
I've always taught my children, and now they get it. They're in their 30s now, right? But when I was talking to them about, well, I don't know, why did that guy say that? Or why did he say that? Why did he treat his girlfriend like that? Mom, you're so negative. No, these are characteristics and these are flaws that they're not going to go away just because he's dating you, right?
Correct.
So now, especially my oldest daughter, she has a child. Oh, okay. Now you
Mhm.
understand.
Mhm.
Now you understand. We have to talk about this stuff. We have to expose it. Narcissism for so long, especially during the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, we were exalting these men that made so much money, right? Like these
Yeah.
very powerful men cheating on their wives. Like we exalted them. They're awesome. So now we have an opportunity to, I would say, balance that out. That's not cool. It's not
Right.
cool. Right. And
Right.
so if we could not shame a narcissist, but at least start talking about this idea that this is not the way to treat people. And we're aware of it. And I'm not afraid to say that this is narcissistic behavior and I prefer not to hang out with you. So that we at least start developing a narrative and a conversation around, ooh, that's a bit narcissistic, right? So now we have a label for it because a narcissist, when I was growing up, if I had a narcissistic boyfriend who said, "Oh, your hair isn't long enough," I thought he was right.
Right.
I didn't see that as abusive or, "Oh, you're over emotional," or, "Oh, you're making that up." I didn't see that as gaslighting. I just thought, "Oh, I should be better and be more of what he expects me to be." So this
Yeah.
conversation around narcissistic traits and gaslighting, I love that gaslighting was the word of the year. I think it was last year.
Mhm.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And it's very difficult too when we're talking, because, of course, in relationships, romantic relationships, but then there's family dynamics. And one of my favorite videos, I have so many favorite videos, but one that really stands out to me on this subject: 5 weird ways toxic family members punish a truth teller for going no contact.
That's right.
We will totally post this in the show notes. It's so relevant for me. I think it's so relevant for so many people because there is, just like you were talking about, such a negative stigma or almost guilt trigger around going no contact. So we won't go into the entire video, but how do you think people can, first of all, identify a family dynamic like this? And then are they able to have modified contact with maybe the other family members who aren't narcissists, but are defensive of that system.
Hmm. Well, what we have to understand is that a narcissistic family is a closed system and it's shame based. So, meaning
Right.
that it's oppressive. Now, when you're in an oppressive system, you don't know it. Think about Hitler's regime, right?
Mhm.
Like, if I'm a German, I don't think I'm in an oppressive regime. I believe what's being told. This is my leader.
That's true.
So, the same
Yeah.
thing happens in a family. Mom, dad, maybe even a brother or a sister. There's someone at the head of this realm that is in control of everybody. Everybody's walking around on eggshells. They're seduced, they're brainwashed into meeting this person's expectations. But usually it's oppressive. We're not allowed to talk the truth, say the truth. We're dancing around on eggshells. And usually there's one person, a truth teller, who's just like, this is effed up. Like, I'm not kissing this person's butt. Like, do you not see what's going on? This is wrong. There's usually
Yeah.
one person who feels, oh, this is the twilight zone. Like, you don't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not supported. So
Yeah.
we have to understand that there are truth tellers and systems. There are people who see the truth, and we need those truth tellers. Thank God we have them. So if you're the truth teller, what you'll notice is that, ooh, I can't say what I really feel. And I notice my siblings or my mother or my father can't say what they really feel. Or I have a conversation on the phone with them, but when we're around dad or mom or my brother or my sister, she acts like that never happened. The
Right.
conversation never took place. Right. It's like, and when I open my mouth at the dinner table, everybody puts their head down. No one backs me up. Or they're having family gatherings. I'm not invited. So these are the warning signs of a toxic family system. And a truth teller who dares to say, okay, enough is enough, you're going to get punished. They're going to say that you're crazy. They're going to start ignoring you. They're going to gang up on you like a pack of wolves so
Yeah.
that your name is dragged through the mud and you're seen as crazy.
Yeah.
You're discredited. And this is
Yep.
so difficult. And so, having gone through that in my family, I saw that my brother had severe abandonment trauma with my dad and my mom. And so, going
Mhm.
against me enhanced his bond to them.
Mhm.
So, if he aligned with them and he said, get out of here, you're crazy, he was able to have a connection, a stronger connection, which is what a narcissistic mother or father wants.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna triangulate the siblings from one another. They're gonna create soldiers from the siblings that are most vulnerable to them. But the truth teller may want that mother or father's validation, but they have this feeling of injustice that's so strong that
Mhm.
they they repel that. So they'll sacrifice themselves for truth because they just can't give in to this sick system. But there's a consequence for that. You're gonna get kicked out of that system. Your name is gonna be dragged through the mud. You're gonna be blackballed,
Yep.
right? They may even talk about you bad on social media. I've seen that happen. I've had people attacked on my business page by family members.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane. So that's what happens. In terms of contact, I think it's situational. So for me, there was a time where after my divorce, it was so hard. My mom called me a liar. It was just a really bad time. It was just like, I have no skin on my body left. So you're either
Yeah.
for me or you're against me.
Yeah.
This is just too hard. I'm working
Mhm.
3 jobs, 7 days a week. You can't support me. You got to get out of here. So I let them go for over a year. And then they started to slowly creep back into my life. But I had a new spine. I was
Mhm.
not the old Lisa. If you were going to be in my life, there were going to be boundaries and you were going to watch the way you spoke to me because this gaslighting crap was done. No more
Yeah.
pretending you didn't say what you said. No more ignoring the elephant in the room. You don't want to see it, that's fine, but I'm not staying here anymore. So after
Yeah.
a few times, they came back into my life and they knew I could, what did you say? Okay, it's kids, come on, it's time to go. Oh, where you going? Where you going? I said, oh, it's time for me to go. So I set that boundary. I did that a few times and
Mhm.
they watched every word that came out of their mouth after that. So I was able to allow them back into my life with boundaries. But I tell you what, I never forgot what they were capable of. So was there
Yeah.
trust there? No. I didn't have to
Yeah.
trust them anymore. I trusted myself. That was
Wow.
over.
Yeah.
That's how strong they made me.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you so much for sharing that.
yeah.
I totally relate. I have definitely gone through I mean, listen, the name of the show is Face Your Shit, Heal Yourself.
Mm,
If there was a truth teller name, it's probably
mhm,
that. It
mhm.
is facing it is a narcissist's worst nightmare to
Mm, yeah,
face themselves. They're incapable. And
that's
so
exactly
but
it.
it's how you see the divine, see
Mhm.
yourself. It's how you
Oh, yeah,
see all truth.
that's right.
So, it was just so beautiful, that share that you gave, and I hear it all the time in dealing with narcissism, and I think it's very hard for people with self-love deficient disorder, the going no contact conversation, everything that we talked about, and that I hear this, "Well, I would rather have some kind of relationship because they're in my family than no relationship at all."
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who says that?
I totally understand it. First of all, the
Mhm.
need to belong to your tribe is survival, it's innate. You're wired to feel like you belong to this tribe. It is not natural to separate
Mhm.
yourself. It's as natural as peeling your skin off. This is not
Right.
natural.
Right.
You needing to avoid the mother that should protect you for your own sense of safety. It's not natural for a mother to eat her young. It's not
Yeah.
natural for a mother to tear her daughter and her son down. That's not natural, right? So it's not natural to save yourself and pull yourself from that dynamic. It's very hard. So I understand. I did it for years, well into my 30s, where I knew I was being abused or I knew it was wrong, but I didn't know
Mhm.
what else to do about it. I thought, well, I just have to tolerate it because they're my mom and my dad. I couldn't even fathom not having them in my life. But when the floor gave way and I realized that I really had to take care of my kids, like needing them, protecting them, that was all over.
Hmm.
So, it's really important that everybody understands it's not natural. It's not gonna be easy to go no contact. And there is no black and white answer. It is
Right.
situational. That's really important. So you might have a mom who is highly abusive, and every time you're with her, she attacks you verbally. Well, that might be someone that you need to really limit contact with. Or maybe she's nice around you when Aunt Mary's in the room and Uncle Joe is in the room. Well, maybe you go there, minimal contact when Aunt Mary and Uncle Joe is there because you're not going to be a target. So it's not a black and white answer. I think in the best case scenario, something like what happened to me happens where I change. They
Mhm.
know I'm not kidding. I'm able to hold the boundary. They back
Mm.
off because they go, "Oh, wow, she's not a little girl anymore." I think that's the best case scenario, but I also realize that it is situational. You have to really
Yeah.
see. Certainly, if you have an entire family system that is hell bent on bringing you down, as hard as that is, it might be better for you to go find your new tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the when a narcissistic family singles out one person, it becomes a gang mentality.
Mhm.
And everybody is looking for the matriarch, the narcissist, to pat them on the back and say, "Good girl for hating her. Good boy." I've had situations where a narcissistic mother would discredit the daughter and would not allow the daughter to talk to the dad on the phone. What are you talking about? What are you saying to her? What does she want? So actually driving a wedge between the daughter and the father's so codependent, he can't stand up to mom because she'll demolish him, right? And here we go. The daughter is sacrificed because of the
Yeah.
mother's narcissism, the mother's envy. And so that's just as damaging, having someone in your family that sees it but doesn't do anything about it. Now, to save yourself, you have to excise yourself from that person. That's like someone watching you get beat up and saying, "Oh, I don't know if I can help," right? It's worse that there's a witness.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to my father. You know how she's talking to me. You know what she's saying is wrong. And his answer was, "I have to live with her." Okay, I get it. I don't
Mhm.
matter. You see she's abusing me, but you have to live with her. So you don't care that I'm being abused by her. Okay, dad, got it. Okay. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone out for themselves.
Mhm. It shouldn't be
Really.
that way. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
The way it should be is like, you're a child. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. Rather this subjective morality, like I decide what's right or wrong. Like the fact that I'm a child, this is unfair. It's obvious. And you
Mhm.
can't stand by that. You're part of the problem. You're actually
Yeah.
enabling her.
Yeah.
There has to be some higher good that we all adhere to, I think. And abuse is abuse. And it should just be, yep, that's abusive. And we should all agree on that.
Yeah. Amen.
But in a
Yeah.
narcissistic family where there's codependency, that's not the what those are not the rules.
No, not at all. And yeah, it's everyone out for themselves. It's that statement reminds me of I'd rather be abused than have no connection. And it's a very sad, it's just levels of awareness. It's just illustrative of complete self love deficiency,
Oh
is
yeah.
what.
And
Mhm.
it's also us not transcending the tribal instinct, right? Like it's us not our brain not evolving or our consciousness not evolving past this primitive need to feel like we belong to this family. Like we have to evolve
Right.
past that. Right?
Yes.
So we conscious that's what I'm all about, consciousness, right? You are sacrificing yourself, which is
Mhm.
sacrificing the divine in you and your potential for this breadcrumb relationship. And so you could have anything that you want, right? You can step into the infinite intelligence inside of you. You can step into your divine self. You can connect to source. You can create anything that you want, but you're sacrificing it for this tribal innate instinct. And I get it because it's natural, but it's going to keep you stuck.
Yeah, and you make that grow. You make
Correct.
that person and that disease and that dynamic and that way of treating people, that's what you're contributing to. You're not
Correct.
contributing to higher love and oneness and unity, which is the truth
That's right.
of energy.
That's right.
So you're just contributing to more of the lie and more of the zero sum game that we all live in.
And this is the whole thing. It's the brain operates through the reticular activating system. These are subconscious processes. Pain and pleasure are what operate it. And so, if as a
Mhm.
child I associate pain with abandonment below the veil of
Mhm.
consciousness, I'm avoiding that. Even I could be a 50-year-old female, I'm avoiding the abandonment. And so,
Yeah.
you are literally hijacked by childhood programming. And
Right.
until you awaken and recognize that you are in a pattern, you are in a loop, it's dysfunctional, and your power lies outside of that, level up your consciousness because that's level one. You're in the cornfield and you don't even know
Yeah.
it. Level two
Yeah.
is I'm above the cornfield. Oh my God, that's programming. This is abandonment trauma, right? Like my mother's still in control over me. I'm a 50-year-old physician and I'm afraid of my mother's criticism. You can be that person. So that's level two. Level three is where you're actively seeking to break the pattern. Like, you know what? I'm a woman. My mother's a woman. I'm not 5 years old anymore. I don't have to tolerate this anymore. I don't have to seek her approval anymore. I can seek my own approval. So now I'm actively, consciously in
Mhm.
awareness, breaking a pattern. And level four, if you stick with this long enough, that's where you experience your freedom, your oneness with the divine. That's where you experience the flow. That's where you step into your power. You find your mission in life. Everybody has one, and you're able to fulfill it. But
Yeah.
there are no free lunches in the quantum field.
Nope.
So if you want the good stuff, you have to go through the bad stuff. You have to face the bad stuff. You have to face your
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. That's the best part, that there is no free lunch because it's truly yours. No one can take it away from you because it wasn't given. For
Mhm.
true freedom, it's a choice. It's discovered and it's claimed in
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
And that way, that's not a free lunch. You go through some shit to realize that, but it's the best lunch
Mhm.
because it's completely yours and always will be.
Mhm. And once you get out of the old patterns and programming, then you're in the field of potential. Now you create
Mhm.
anything. You're untethered to the
Yeah.
past, right?
Yeah.
So I found that the initial breaking of the contact and getting a divorce and seeing my family for who they are, that was the hardest part. I was at the bottom of the hill with 3 kids strapped to me. That was the hardest
Yeah.
part, just waking up and breathing. But every day that I woke up and I tried, it got a little bit easier. Then the further I got up the hill, the less power any of that stuff had over me. I cared less what my mother thought. I cared less what my brother was going to say. I cared less about my ex texting me. I just cared less. So the further and further I went, people give up too soon, or
Hmm.
they're not willing to push past that pain point,
Yeah.
right? But you got to push past that pain point. You've got to set a new goal. Like, I will be free of this.
Yeah.
I will be
Yep.
free of this. So you see that new goal, you set that goal, and every day you just try to break another pattern, react less to a narcissist, need them less, seek validation less in your daily life, be yourself more, return to your feelings, live with integrity, live your best life, and step by step, you'll get there, but just don't give up.
Yeah. I will be free of this. So beautiful. And that's something that I definitely told myself in my healing journey. One of the things that did the most heavy lifting, of course, you do the detoxes, you take care of yourself on a biological level. But for
Mhm.
me, healing my chronic disease, endometriosis, going no contact with narcissists, learning about it, healing the wounds in myself that made me a
Mhm.
match to it,
Yep.
realizing becoming that galvanized empath that you talk
Mhm.
about so
Yep.
much,
Yep.
that is truly the healing journey. And it's never ending. There's no destination. It's a journey. It is a journey for life.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is one thing you could recommend all people start today, and one thing they could stop today to help them on that healing journey, to help them heal from those toxic family patterns?
Well, if you follow my work at all, you'll always hear me say it. It's you have to slow down your mind because the mind is a vat of a record of the past. Your mind is not you. And that's like,
Right.
what? No, you are not a German shepherd. You are endowed with consciousness and the word. You have the
Hmm.
ability to think and observe about the way that you think. Most people get up, never question, where are these thoughts coming from that populate in my brain? That's what the conscious field is meant to do. It's just meant to stream a stream of consciousness. However, that stream of consciousness that you see and hear is from the subconscious mind. It's
Yeah.
from yesterday. It's from last week. It's from 10 years ago. It's from when you were 3, right? So becoming objective about, wait a minute, because your thoughts are going to create your behaviors, and your behaviors are going to become your habits. Your habits are going to become your life. And then one day you're 90 years old on your deathbed.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's how my mom died. That's how my dad died. The people in my family died asleep. They never lived one conscious day. They lived out their patterns, alcoholism, the whole bit. So, in terms of what's one thing, if you understand that, then a very practical thing to do is to recognize that your goal is to slow down your thoughts.
Right.
If you can slow down your thoughts, then you can catch those thoughts that are dysfunctional, that cause you to seek validation, that are tied to trepidation and anxiety, that take you out of the now, that cause you to worry too much in the future, or you're ruminating over the past. You don't even know if you're doing that if you're not the observer. So, this idea of I have to milk the awareness, I have to flex metacognition, which is, we don't talk enough about that in psychology and
Right.
therapy. We just want to medicate you and get you to come and tell us about how bad your life sucks. We don't want to teach you that you have metacognition and you can observe the way that you think and question the way that you think and make connections and then decide how you want to think. That's a novel concept, right? So the the thing that I always encourage everybody to do is just start meditating. And I don't mean sit on some beautiful yoga pillow and empty your mind. I have a hard time doing that. Take 45 minutes out of your day, commit if you have to wake up early, but
Yeah.
commit 45 minutes of your day because it takes about 20 minutes for the average human mind to slow down during meditation. So commit to 45 minutes. What's the goal? The goal is to just begin to slow down the stream of thoughts in your head, right? Once they start to slow down, Then what happens is you find a space. Now, suddenly you're observing your thoughts, where before you were just your thoughts. There was no separation.
Right.
So, meditation creates this ability for you to observe what's happening in the conscious field. So now you start playing with, oh, I just noticed that thought. Wow, I noticed that feeling. You're not the feeling, you're the observer of the feeling. You're not the feeling. Depression is, I am this feeling. No, you're not. You
Right.
can observe that feeling, and that feeling might be completely valid. But if you can
Yep.
create that space where you're observing that you just had this thought,
Yep.
or you had the impulse, this egoic impulse to text the ex back.
Hmm.
Like I saw it versus reacting to it. Well, when you reacted to it, you had no space. You just did it. So now that's going to, in terms of the law of attraction, law of causality takes over. For every
Hmm.
action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's going to be an event now, dear one, because you triggered off that text. It's coming back. Even if you think that you're right, if you want that text to come to you to stop, then you can't text back. You have to decide, but you can't do that without that space. So meditation is huge. Just start meditating, becoming aware, right? And there are other things that you can do if you're trying to heal from a narcissistically abusive relationship, but that's a great place to start. And the second question was about no contact, was it? What was your second
It
question?
was, what would you say one thing to stop
Oh,
today to help them heal? Hmm.
okay. So what I would do is, again, I think it's tied to the same thing, is that what you want to do is you want to catch yourself when you're seeking validation.
Got
So
it.
what you want to do is you want to stop trying to fit in. You want to stop seeking validation. You want to stop doing things on social media. You have to stop dressing because you hope someone notices. You have to stop going on dates wondering if this person's going to think you're a slob because you order more than a salad. Just eat your salad. Just eat your meal. Just be yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So catch yourself when you're trying to get someone to approve of you and stop it. And if you
Yeah.
don't know what else to do, just be quiet. Just be still. Just observe. It's better to slow that snowball down the hill than it is to push it. Just slow it down. Slow your roll. Just relax,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
slow it down. And if you could find the space with meditation and then stop seeking validation rather than perpetuating, just you have to stop. You have to gain emotional control, right? You got to be a
Yeah.
big girl. You got to be a big boy. Don't drunk text them. Don't
Yeah.
do that. Don't do that. Don't go on social media and say something negative. Everything that you say has a consequence. So if you want it to
Yeah.
stop, stop participating in it. Don't react to it. That's how you starve a narcissist. That's how you drive them crazy.
Yeah.
Turn your back.
Yep.
That's what you have to do. That's how you win.
Yeah. Yeah. You win by not playing. That's
Correct.
the power. Yeah.
That's correct. And then you step into the light. You step out of the dark because narcissists play in the dark realm.
Right.
They want your light. They control you at the level of your consciousness. So when you should be thinking about yourself, I'm thinking about him. I'm thinking, what does he think? What does she need? Da, da, da. Right? So now what happened? Literally, your power, your connection to source is eclipsed because you're worried about
Yeah.
this person. And so
Yeah.
that's why they're so dramatic. They want you walking on eggshells, wondering about what they're thinking. But when you are psychically addicted to that person, you are so
Hmm.
far from your own source, and source cannot operate in your life under those circumstances. So we have to choose the light,
Yeah.
which means it's
Yep.
going to be uncomfortable, but you have to. It's just like anything else. When you break a stick, there's tension until the stick breaks and then the tension's gone. So you have to withstand that. And a galvanized empath is someone who's like, I see you, mofo. I
Hmm.
know who you are. And now
Hmm.
all this attention that I gave you is now on me.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. That's powerful.
So powerful, especially the piece about validating.
Hmm.
It's subtle because it happens in our daily interactions. I feel like this is part of the programming and some of the toxic relationship dynamics that are just like by default now
Correct.
is
Yeah.
just this expectation to just validate. I had to catch myself the other day when I'm like explaining and validating why I like this house,
Mm-hmm.
why I want to move here,
Mm-hmm.
why I'm like, wait a second, you don't have to get it. I just
Nope.
have to get it.
That's right.
Like, why am I? And of course, it's a fine line. There's a gray area between, we love to express our opinions and we have this banter about, well, what's your idea of that? What do you think? What's your perspective? But that's not, it's so subtle. It's not coming from a place of, I'm telling you why so that you can agree,
Correct. I get
you know?
permission.
Right.
I get permission, right? And so
Yeah.
and also, like, social media, it's why I get so turned off with the George Clooney's or the Miley Cyruses or even the Taylor Swifts. It's so subtle, the programming. "You should vote like me," right? No, I don't have to vote for you like you, right? And I'm not a bad person if I like your music, but I don't like the way that you vote. And
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
even at the level of celebrity, how we're all
Yeah.
being indoctrinated to think a certain way, to have this group think because George Clooney thinks this way. I'm so opposed to that. What are we doing? And news media, it's not. They're glorified National Enquirer.
Mhm.
When it's unbiased, or I can have a conversation with someone from the other side and I'm being listened to and vice versa, then it's fair and it's unbiased. But
Right.
anything that's biased, whether it's a celebrity or a news, so-called news source,
Mm,
it's programming. You're being
totally.
brainwashed. And so it's even at that level where we're being conditioned to seek their approval.
Yes.
F that. I don't need your approval. I don't care if you're Kim Kardashian or George Clooney or Mother Teresa. I don't need your approval.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yep.
I'm going to use my mind to think the way I want to think, to see what I see and use logic and reason to come to what I think is a logical conclusion based on what I feel is right for me. But we're all being programmed through
Yeah.
do it my way, seek my approval.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-mm.
Love that you brought that up. And what I also love is our biohacking with art finale question. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I think so. I'll try.
You're a pro. All right.
Mm. All right, we'll see.
If you, Lisa, could describe the power of healing from narcissistic abuse with any art medium,
Mm.
how would you make it and what would you choose?
Any art medium. I would probably say media, in other words, like movies, motion pictures,
Mm,
because I do think that it is a form of programming. I do believe that what we put out in terms of media, and you think about millions of people sitting in a movie theater having similar vibrational reactions to movies. And I think about the signal, the universal consciousness that is created through media and how that affects the world. And it's frightening. It's
mhm,
absolutely frightening. And if I could change the world through art, it would definitely be through motion pictures. The motion picture industry would be powerful in the sense that it would reveal the truth. It would lean towards independence and autonomy and tolerance.
mhm,
This idea that we're separate but one.
right.
This idea that we can flip this paradigm. We can create a beautiful world. I would not perpetuate separation of any kind. I would not bring the past into it. I would say, this is who we are. We are humanity. We are one. And it would be about raising the consciousness of the potential of a human being once they are awakened for the good. And the good would be, if it was good for me, it would have to be good for you. So that's what I would do.
Wow. I love that. One of my mantras in my business is art is a lie that helps us realize the truth. And it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. We can realize ourselves through a story or through seeing something in a new way or something we participate in, especially using art as healing to discover these aspects of ourselves and really see these deeper levels of ourselves. So powerful.
And I'm not so sure that, I mean, you think about, I think I mentioned in, the pre-interview, it's very sad to me that with AI, that
Yes.
sexual abuse on children is up so much, and surprisingly, the abusers are children who
Yeah.
have access to pornography through media
Yep.
and through AI. So they are, it's just very sad to me. So, this idea that what we put out in terms of media is very powerful, it affects the
Yes.
minds, right?
Yes.
So, if I think in a new world or in a healthier world, that would be where we went. But in a
Yeah.
dualistic society where their elite are in control, and
Mhm.
I believe that they want power over people, so they
Mhm.
divide and conquer. And they
Yeah.
use the media and social media and various agencies to perpetuate this idea that we don't love each other, that we should be afraid of each other. And I use every opportunity I can through video, YouTube, through my podcast, through summits like yours, through podcasts like yours, through my books to push that back. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
We love one another. We do, right? If you were
Yeah.
to fall on the street, 35 strangers would call 911.
Yeah.
But if you don't need me, they walk past you. Choke in a restaurant, somebody stands up and gives the Heimlich, right?
Yeah.
Like, this idea that we're really not good to each other is a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie. And we have to find ways, those of us who feel called to have a voice and throw our hat in the ring. This is the message that we have to send people. We have to push
Yeah.
that back. That is narcissism. That's
Absolutely.
triangulation. Triangulate
Absolutely.
you from me, or from a black person to a white person, or whatever. I'm not falling for it.
Yeah. And I truly believe less people are falling for it. And this year, I really think just some of the planetary transits happening, just energetically speaking, this is the face your shit, heal yourself year. And I think there's going to be a lot of truth telling and a lot, especially in the realm of sexual abuse. I know that
Mhm.
was a story for me
Mhm.
as a child, and that was before AI and stuff. So it's
Right.
only perpetuating
Yep.
everything that was already there, and I
Mhm.
think we're gonna really I think the light is gonna be shined on all of this
Excellent.
stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Epstein. Yeah, I
Yep.
think so too. And we have to hold on, because once this is the whole thing, somebody who isn't into the whole like understanding of what's in the dark has to come to the light. There's a period of a lot of pain and a lot of
Yeah.
like, what is really happening? Like, a lot of people, oh, that's not happening. Well, someone like me, I knew it was happening, but the
Yeah.
people like, oh, that could never happen, right? The Catholic church that I grew up in, the pastor was a pedophile. "Oh, you're
Yeah.
such a negative person." "What are you talking about?" Like, turns out I
Yeah.
was right, right?
Yeah.
People that tell the truth get criticized, but then all of a sudden the truth
Yeah.
gets revealed, right? So,
Yeah.
there's always going to be a period of unsettling as the dark is revealed into the light. But
Yeah.
those people who are grounded in the light, they hold the energy for the people who are just like, "I can't believe it's happening." Just be a strong, grounded force and understand this has to come to the light. That's what's supposed to happen, and it's uncomfortable, but eventually we'll
Yes.
have a new norm. But
Yeah.
we have to do better. We have to protect our babies. This is no.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
has to be what we focus on. Our children have to matter. They have to have a voice.
1,000%, and we could do a whole other episode. Trust me. Something
Mhm.
I'm super passionate about as well.
Mhm.
It has just been so real chatting
Oh,
with you
well, thank you.
today.
I strive for real. I don't know how else to be.
You just tell the truth, just
I
like we've been talking about.
I don't know how else to be anymore. So,
Exactly. Tell us where people can find you. And of course, we're going to list resources and all your info in the show notes. Where can people learn more about your work and connect with you?
sure. So they could connect with me on YouTube. They can connect with me on Facebook. They can go to my website at www.lisaramon.com. Yeah, I have my own podcast called Breakdown to Breakthrough. But if you really want to get in contact with me, it would be www.lisaramon.com or coach@lisaramano.com. You have to
Awesome.
remember the A, the second A. There's two A's.
Yes. Yes. Well, listen, you're everywhere.
Yeah, it's
Google
true. Google
Lisa
me.
Romano.
Yeah, Lisa A. Romano.
Lisa A.
Mhm.
Romano.
Yeah, yeah. Then you'll
Yes.
find me. So it's been a
Yes.
pleasure. I love what you're doing. Your voice is important and you're making a difference. So that's wonderful.
Thank you so much. You have
Yeah,
helped me in ways that you'll never
grateful.
even know because I'm so grateful. You're a huge component of my own healing. And
Wonderful.
so I just want to thank you. And I hope that everyone is able to take away something from this
Yeah.
absolutely tremendous conversation that
Wonderful.
we've had today to help them go out, face their shit, therefore healing themselves.
That's
And
right.
remember, as always, the truth will set you free. We will
Yep.
see you all next time.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye, guys. If you liked this episode or you think this show would be useful for someone else, the best way you can show your support is to share it on your social media outlets with family and friends, or subscribe with the link below to receive exclusive perks. And if you're feeling really generous, please leave a review on podchaser.com, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, and pick up a signed copy of my book about how I healed myself from endometriosis on my Instagram at Meredith W. Ochoa. Thank you so much for listening and for having the bravery to face your shit and heal yourself.